from Hollywood, I'm Martin Grove, welcoming you to our Screendollars podcast, Box Office Autopsy. Right now, we'll look at the movie marketplace and analyze how things are going and where they're going, sharing some opinions from my perspective after decades of talking about Hollywood on CNN, Entertainment Tonight, and as a Hollywood Reporter columnist. Halloween weekend is never a happy one for exhibitors, as moviegoers are busy at parties celebrating the spooky holiday. So it's no big surprise that Black Adam stumbled in weekend 2 despite good exit polls and a 90% audience score on Rotten Tomatoes that means good word of mouth. Halloween's only wide opening, Pray for the Devil, was dead on arrival, also thanks to horror fans making it a party weekend. On today's Box Office Autopsy, we'll look at Black Adam's second weekend and Pray for the Devil's opening. And later, in our Oscar Outlook Spotlight, we'll focus on the Gotham Awards nominations and how they may affect the Oscar race. But we start today with the weekend's holdover #1 film, Warner Brothers and DC's Black Adam starring Dwayne Johnson. Here's a quick scene that explains why moviegoers liked what they saw. After kicking off to $67 million, Adam would ordinarily have held decently, given its good exits pointing to favorable word of mouth. But with Halloween diverting young adult moviegoers, it wound up slipping 59% to $27.7 million. At 4,402 theaters. That's the midpoint of the $25 to $30 million range that media pundits anticipated. Its domestic cume is now $111.1 million. Adam reportedly cost $195 million to produce. Universal Working Title and Smokehouse Pictures' PG-13 rom-com Ticket to Paradise held on to second place in weekend 2 with $10 million at 3,692 theaters, down just 39% from its $16.5 million opening. Its domestic cume is now $33.7 million. Tickets' good hold reflects the continued availability of its 35-plus audience that's not sidetracked by Halloween partying. Also helping is good word of mouth, as seen in its 88% audience score on Rotten Tomatoes. Lionsgate's PG-13 rated horror thriller Pray for the Devil was ice cold on the tracking with an average first choice score 3 points below norm. Its best demo was younger women, but they were just equal to norm. Devil opened third to $7 million at 2,980 theaters. Hollywood handicappers were talking about $8 to $10 million. Critics on Rotten Tomatoes hate it with a deadly 20%, and audiences are a blah 68%. This scene will help you decide if the critics are right about Devil.
The citadel has fallen. smoke blots out the sun. Because as some of you may already know, we have a female student in the class as an observer. Sister Anne will be accompanying us on our rounds for the rest of the term. Now pay close attention. The nuances of our craft require active learning to truly understand. So, Group 1, let's descend into the mouth of hell, shall we?
Looking ahead, next weekend will be the calm before the box office storm that's on exhibitors' radar for November 11th, Disney and Marvel's Black Panther: Wakanda Forever. Meanwhile, November 4th will bring Crunchyroll's Japanese animated action-adventure One Piece film Red, opening at about 2,200 theaters. Hollywood handicappers are projecting a lively $20 million plus launch. It's an amazing 100% fresh with critics on Rotten Tomatoes, but that's a very early score based on just 5 reviews. Crunchyroll's Japanese anime action-adventure Dragon Ball Superhero opened last August 19th to $21.1 million at 3,018 theaters. It wound up doing $38.1 million domestic. November 4th will also see Focus Features go wider with its R-rated awards contender drama Armageddon Time from James Gray, director of Ad Astra. Media pundits are expecting a modest $5 to $7 million at about 1,000 theaters. It's 78% fresh with critics on Rotten Tomatoes. Here's a scene from Armageddon Time to help you decide if you want to see it or skip it.
Class, exchange 110 for 10, 1. And that is how you subtract large numbers, right? Subtraction. Yeah.
Mr. Turkey Top, I don't
Circle
understand.
tab. I just explained it to you, Mr.
Edgar Romanelli?
Mr. Romanelli. Were you not listening? All right, you just repeat it yourself. You'll learn it. I have eyes in the back of my head, Mr. Davis.
I didn't even do anything.
I will not tolerate any nonsense. Cut it out, or you will go to Principal Seabell's office. All right, now, class, exchange 110.
What exhibitors really have their sights set on, of course, is Black Panther: Wakanda Forever, which will crank up the heat at about 4,500 theaters November 11th. While no single picture can make up for the studio's 3-month prime product freeze, Wakanda is expected to boost spirits and hammer home that moviegoers are back, if there's something playing they want to see. Tracking for Wakanda is already spectacular. The average first-choice score is nearly 5 times norm. It's a 4-quadrants movie, and all demos are about 5 times norm. Hollywood handicappers are guesstimating an opening of $175 to $200 million, and some are even thinking higher. This scene from Wakanda will tell you if it goes on your must-see list.
Where is your spear?
Shouldn't give me this to try. You know, I like them better.
Our foremothers gave us this spear because it is precise, elegant, and deadly. It will not change under my watch.
Yes, General.
I told you not to bring them.
Universal and Amblin Entertainment's PG-13 drama The Fabelmans, directed and co-written by Steven Spielberg, hit the tracking this week. It doesn't open wide until November 23rd, the day before Thanksgiving, so its marketing campaign hasn't kicked in yet. Its best early definite interest demo is Younger Men, who are 4 points over norm. Next best are Older Men, who are equal to norm. Fabelmans has a very strong Best Picture and Best Directing Oscar buzz, plus a Best Lead Actress buzz for Michelle Williams, which should boost want to see by moviegoers. And speaking of the Oscars, time now for our Oscar Outlook focus on the latest happenings on the awards trail. The Gotham Awards aren't a prime Oscar bellwether, but they do elevate the profile of specialty films with Best Picture hopes. Focus Features should see this happen with its R-rated biodrama Tar, which has a 93% critic score on Rotten Tomatoes. With perfect timing as Oscar buzzes are building, Tar just got 5 Gotham Awards nominations, the most of any title this year. That's exactly the right kind of achievement to promote to Academy members. Gotham voters applauded Tar for Best Feature. Screenplay, Todd Field. Lead Performance, Cate Blanchett. And Supporting Performance, Nina Hoss and Noémie Merlant. Winners will be announced in New York November 28th at Cipriani Wall Street with lots of valuable media coverage. A Tar Best Feature win would make it a must-see film for Oscar voters who don't have time to see anything that's not already a serious contender. Field, who directed Tar, was an Oscar nominee in 2002 for his adapted screenplay for In the Bedroom, a Best Picture nominee that he also co-produced. In 2007, Field was Oscar nominated for his adapted screenplay for Little Children. Blanchett, who plays composer-conductor Lydia Tarr, the first female music director of a major German orchestra, has won 2 Oscars, lead actress for Woody Allen's dramedy Blue Jasmine in 2014, and supporting actress in 2005 for Martin Scorsese's biodrama The Aviator. The Gothams will be handed out right after Thanksgiving, when theaters will be stuffed with openings and exhibitors will be enjoying some extra box office gravy. 4 wide studio releases are due November 23rd, including Universal and Amblin's PG-13 drama The Fabelmans from Steven Spielberg, based in part on his own childhood. Disney's PG animated Strange World, an original tale about an explorer family. Sony and STX's PG-13 Korean War action drama about 2 Navy fighter pilots risking their lives. And United Artists releasing and MGM's R-rated romantic horror drama with cannibalism, bones and all, about a young woman surviving on society's margins in the 1980s. While this Thanksgiving menu isn't quite mouth-watering, it does have in Fabelmans and Strange World traditional family fare for Turkey weekend. Added unexpectedly to the mix is Netflix's PG-13 crime dramedy Glass Onion: A Knives Out Mystery, with Daniel Craig back as Detective Benoit Blanc. Although this sounds good for boosting Thanksgiving business, this glass is really just half full. It will only play in about 600 major circuit houses, AMC, Regal, and Cinemark, plus a few indie cinemas. And just for 1 week. Then Glass goes into Netflix's deep freeze until it starts streaming December 23rd. Glass will take ticket sales away from other Thanksgiving titles. Since Netflix doesn't report grosses, we'll wind up seeing a lower total gross for the overall Thanksgiving marketplace. Box office reports will explain why, but those footnotes will soon be forgotten. Watch for Wall Street analysts to spin lower Thanksgiving ticket sales into their ongoing sky is falling on exhibition narrative. Well, that's a wrap for today's box office autopsy. We'll return next week to look at how Armageddon Time and One Piece film Red open. And we'll keep watching the awards world in our Oscar Outlook feature. So please join us again then, and thanks very much for listening. Time now for our film flashback look at what was happening in Hollywood right around now, way back then. Let's set today's time travel dial for October 26th, 1984. When The Terminator opened October 26th, 1984, it made Arnold Schwarzenegger a top star and launched James Cameron's directing career. Cameron had made his feature directing debut with 1981's Piranha 2: The Spawning, from which he was fired after 2 weeks. But Terminator was the film that put him in action. When Cameron was ready to send out his early screenplay for financing and distribution, he sold it for a token $1 to Gail Ann Hurd, his producing partner and past collaborator at Roger Corman's New World Pictures. Hurd promised not only to get the movie made, but that she'd get Cameron a directing deal. Fortunately, she managed to do just that, turning down studios, like Paramount, that wanted the project but not Cameron. Cameron and Hurd began a relationship during production of The Terminator and were married from 1985 to 89. They made Aliens in 1986 and The Abyss in 89 together, although by the time they did Abyss, they'd separated. While casting The Terminator, they considered O.J. Simpson to play the cyborg assassin, but decided he had too nice an image for moviegoers to accept him as a cold-blooded killer. Mel Gibson passed, saying he wasn't right for the role. Sylvester Stallone also said no. Tom Selleck was a no because he had committed to doing Magnum P.I. At first, they thought Schwarzenegger could play Kyle Reese, the human soldier sent from the future to protect Sarah Connor, Linda Hamilton, from the cyborg killing machine. Schwarzenegger had gone from being a bodybuilder to making action films like 1982's Conan the Barbarian. Orion Pictures production chief Mike Medavoy had met Schwarzenegger at a party and sent him Cameron's script after Orion agreed to distribute Terminator with co-financing from John Daly's Hemdale Pictures. Cameron, however, just didn't see the bulked-up Schwarzenegger as Reese. Medavoy pushed Cameron to have lunch with Schwarzenegger anyway. Schwarzenegger's enthusiasm for the screenplay and his suggestions about how the cyborg villain should be played changed Cameron's mind about casting. He offered Schwarzenegger the title role, explaining the film wasn't really about the hero, but about the Terminator. Schwarzenegger accepted happily, despite his agent saying he shouldn't play villains. Michael Biehn was cast as Reese. By then, Schwarzenegger was so essential to Terminator that production was delayed until he fulfilled his commitment to do Conan the Destroyer. The Terminator's now iconic line, "I'll be back," was almost changed to "I will be back," because Schwarzenegger thought that sounded more like a machine talking. This was Schwarzenegger and Cameron's only dispute, and was resolved when Cameron replied, "I don't tell you how to act, so don't tell me how to write." And that's it for today's podcast. Thanks for listening. We'll be back with another box office autopsy next week. In Hollywood for Screendollars, I'm Martin Grove.